Good morning, student. In today class, we will discuss about the basic of reactor designing. So first question arises, what is reactor? So for a particular type of reaction to be occurred in a controlled manner, some type of hardware is needed, and that is called reactor. So reactor is a apparatus which is used to convert raw material into useful product with the help of some chemical reaction. So this reactor, also called heart of chemical process, is to be designed to provide the condition necessary for chemical reaction to proceed. So these are factors considered for designing of a chemical reactor. The important factor are the number of phase present, whether the system is uniform or multi-phase like solid, gas, solid, liquid, etc. Its operating temperature and pressure, residence time or space velocity, whether the reaction mixer is corrosive or non-corrosive, the amount of heat required during the reaction, and the temperature control, agitation for uniformity or temperature control, batch or continuous process, and total production rate. So these are some of the factors which we consider while designing the chemical reactor. Now, uh, what are the types of reactor? So chemical reaction may have a variety of size, shape, and operating conditions. We have tried to classify them in three different modes, based on method of operation, based on shape of the reactor, and based on number of phase involved in the reaction. So in on the basis of method of operation, the reactor are classified as batch reactor, continuous flow or steady flow reactor, and semi batch reactor. So you can see in this example, in batch reactor there is no inflow and outflow of the material. We simply inject raw material into the reactor and then close the reactor and allow reactant to react for a particular time period, and after the required amount of conversion achieved, we simply take out the product from the reactant. In continuous flow reactant, there is they normally operate at steady state condition in which we continuously provide feed and continuously take product. So this is a continuous process. One of the This is one of the example of PFR reactor which behave like a continuous flow reactor. Other example is CSTR reactor, continuous stirred tank reactor. The third type is semi batch reactor. In semi batch reactor there are several possibility. As you can see in this example, in the first condition, in this the reactant A is already present in the reactor and we are continuously feeding B. If we have reaction A plus B react to give product, so in that A is already present in the reactor and we are continuously injecting B. So in this case the volume and composition both changes with respect to time, because we are continuously adding B, so the volume will continuously increase, and as reaction proceed the composition will also change. So both volume and composition change with respect to time. In second example, we continuously feed A and B in the reactor. So in that case, volume of reactor will continuously change, but the composition is unchanged, because whatever amount or ratio of A and B we inject in the reactor, that is constant. So the composition will be constant, but volume will continuously change. In the third example, the A is already present in the reactor, and we are continuously injecting B into the reactor and continuously taking out the product. So whatever be the rate of inflow of B is equal to rate of outflow of product. So the volume in this case will be constant, but the composition of A and B in the reactor will change with respect to time. So these are some of the example of semi-batch reactors. Now the second classification is on the basis of shape of the reactor. So on the basis of the shape, the reactor are classified as tank reactor and tubular reactor, or we also called them mixed reactor or non-mixed reactor. So tank reactor, an ideal reactor is one in which stirring is so efficient that the content are always uniform in composition and temperature throughout the tank. So they are well mixed reactor in which there are perfect mixing, and for an ideal tank reactor the composition and temperature is same throughout the reactor. This type of reactor are called as stirrer tank or well mixed reactor. Simple tank reactor may be operated in a variety of mode. They may be batch, semi-batch, and continuous flow reactor. When it is continuous, it is called continuous stirrer tank reactor, or simply CSTR, or back mix reactor. On the other hand, the tubular reactor is one in which there is no mixing in the direction of flow in the reactor. The reactants are continuously consumed as they flow in the axial direction. So the composition in the reactor change along the length of the reactor. So here we have maximum amount of reactant, and at the exit point we have maximum amount of product, and composition vary along the length of the reactor. Thus the concentration vary along the axial direction. They also called plug flow reactor, slug flow reactor, piston flow reactor, or unmixed flow reactor. We will discuss this batch CSTR and this plug flow reactor in detail. Now the third classification is on the basis of number of phase involved. So in that the reactor are classified as homogeneous reactor and heterogeneous reactor. Homogeneous reactor means the composition is uniform throughout the reactor, and there is only one phase present, like liquid phase reaction. On the other hand, heterogeneous reactors heterogeneous reactor are those in which there are more than one phase present. It may be solid liquid reaction, or solid gas reaction, or solid liquid reaction. I mean to say there are more than one phase present, or then we called it heterogeneous reactor. Now before driving equations for any reactor, first of all we will discuss what is controlled volume. So when the composition within the reactor is uniform, independent of position, we will consider the whole reactor of for material balance. So I mean to say the control volume is the volume in which there is no variation of temperature and pressure within the controlled volume. For example, if we have batch reactor or CSTR, the composition of batch and CSTR is uniform whatever location we choose. So look, temperature, pressure are not changing, and it's uniform throughout the reactor. So we can assume entire reactor as a controlled volume, because in controlled volume there is no variation of temperature and pressure, or whatever parameter we assume. On the other hand, if we take plug flow reactor, in which the parameters such as temperature and composition vary along the length of the reactor. So in that case we cannot assume entire reactor as a controlled volume. So in that case we have to assume a small controlled volume having a total volume dV, and we assume within that volume, within that controlled volume, there is no variation of parameter like temperature and composition. Now if we apply material balance, then total mass is conserved. It means total mass cannot be increase or decrease, it is constant. So the rate of reactant flow into the controlled element will be equal to rate of reactant flow out of the element plus rate of reactant loss due to chemical reaction within the element plus rate of accumulation of reactant in the controlled element. So for example, if we have this is our controlled volume, so the rate of mass in the reactant will be equal to rate of mass leaving from the controlled volume plus reactant disappear by the chemical reaction. We are applying this material balance on reactant, but if we apply this material balance on product, in that case we have product appearance by reaction within the controlled volume. But in case of reactant, the reactant are consumed in the reaction, so this is reactant disappearance by chemical reaction. And third one is rate of accumulation within the controlled volume. So total amount of material in will be equal to summation of total amount of material out plus rate of disappearance plus rate of accumulation in the controlled volume. Similarly, if we apply energy balance, again as per first law of thermodynamics, the total energy is conserved. So whatever energy we provide in the system, that should be balanced. Like in that case, the rate of heat flow into the element will controlled element will be equal to rate of heat flow out of the controlled element plus rate of disappearance or production of heat by chemical reaction within the control volume. It will depend on whether the reaction is exothermic and endothermic plus rate of accumulation of heat energy in the controlled volume. So this is also illustrated in this diagram. The total amount of energy in the controlled volume will be equal to amount of energy out from the controlled volume plus amount of heat uh, uh, produced or consumed during the chemical reaction plus rate of heat accumulated within the controlled volume. So in that way we can apply energy balance. Now we will drive equation for an ideal batch reactor. So first of all, what should be the characteristics of an ideal batch reactor? In an ideal batch reactor, variation of extent of reaction and property of reaction mixer with respect to time. Because in an ideal reactor, we put reactant and close the reactor for a particular time period. Within that time period, the reactant react with each other and form product. So due to chemical reaction, the composition changes with respect to time. So this is an unsteady state operation where the total number of reactant decreases with respect to time. Second, this batch reactor is well mixed. It means there is no concentration gradient with respect to position, different position in the reactant, or we can say the temperature and composition is uniform throughout the reactor. This is unsteady state operation because the temperature and composition is changing with respect to time, or if we have an isothermal operation, in that case the concentration changes with respect to time. At any instant the composition throughout the reactor is uniform. The composition is changing with respect to time, but at a particular time the composition is uniform throughout the reactor. It is provided with either an external jacket or a cooling coil or both for heating and cooling the reactor content as per the requirement of the process. Uh, in our problem we have made several assumptions before driving the equations for batch reactor. The first one is uniform mixing. We have stirrer in the reactor, but due to improper mixing there are possibility that some of the dead zone present in the reactor which cause non-uniformity of concentration in the reactor, but we are assuming ideal batch reactor. So for an ideal condition there is no concentration gradient within the reactant and concentration is uniform throughout the system. So for that we have uniform mixing, or we should have perfect or infinite mixing, so that there is no concentration variation with respect to position in the reactor. So position throughout the reactor is uniform. Second, we assume isothermal operation. In the reactor we have stirring. Due to stirring some heat energy is generated. Also the reaction may be exothermic or endothermic, which may consume or release energy. But we I whatever condition we have, either we use heating coil, cooling coil, or whatever condition we use, but we maintain uniform temperature in the reactors. This is our second assumption. We made these assumptions so that the K reaction rate constant is constant. Otherwise, if K is variable, then this will make means derivation more complicated. So to avoid K dependency, we are assuming we have isothermal operation. Otherwise we also have to drive equation for K for non-uniform operation. So these are some of the advantages and disadvantages and application of batch reactor. The advantages are that they are simple in construction because we have one vessel in which we have reactant mixer. So its construction is very simple and they are simple to operate. We simply put a reactant in the into the reactor and close. They have minimum instrumentation, so their operation is difficult because in continuous process there are sometimes very complicated instrumentation, and one reactor means different uh, instrument in the reactant system are dependent to each other. Like if we have 3 4 unit connected, then if one unit fail, it will also affect other units. Like reactor is connected to a distillation column, so if some problem occurs in the distillation column, it will also affect the operation of the reactor. So in that sense batch reactor are simple to operate. They shut down quickly and easily. So for continuous process the shutting down and op- and starting a process is very challenging task as compared to batch reactor. Their cost is low, requires small instrumentation and less porting equipment, suitable for slow reaction. So if the reaction is very slow, so in that case the total volume required for a CSTR is very large, because for a slow reaction we should have large hold up time for significant conversion. So for that you require very large amount of reactor. So for very slow reactor, the batch reactor are more preferred, suitable for low scale production. Because their cost is low, so for small production they are more suitable. On the other hand, they have some disadvantages like high labor cost, because in batch reactor you need to fill the reactor and then empty the reactor. So it is very labor intensive, require considerable time to empty, clean out and refilling, poor quality control. It means if you have continuous process, then you can get uniform quality product. But on the other hand, if you have batch reactor, it's very difficult to maintain uniform quality for each batch. For example, if you have 30 batch in you process 30 batch in a batch reactor, so it's very difficult to maintain same quality for all the batches. These are some of the application of batch reactor, like production on small scale, production of different product from the same piece of equipment. So if you have if you have to produce 10 product, then you can use same unit for all 10 unit. But it is very difficult for continuous process or other equipments. So this is one of the major advantage of the batch reactor. Study of reaction kinetic and pilot plant. If any industry want to produce some product, so first of all they uh, test the production using a pilot plant. So in that they normally use batch reactor, and batch reactor are also more suitable for studying the kinetic of the reaction, because in batch reactor you can collect data of concentration versus time that we have studied in our previous classes also. So they are more suitable for reaction kinetic and pilot plant operation. Industrial application include manufacturing of expensive products such as pharmaceutical dye intermediate, etc. So if we drive material balance on a batch reactor, then as I told you earlier, for material balance, the input will be equal to output plus disappearance due to chemical reaction plus rate of accumulation. In batch reactor, we first of all we inject reactant into the reactor, then we close the reactor and allow reaction to occur for a certain time period, and after that we take out the product. But during the reaction there is no input and output. So input and output term will be zero, and there will be disappearance due to chemical reaction and accumulation we have. So rate of disappearance will be equal to the reactant disappear due to chemical reaction. So disappearance will be equal to minus Ra into V. So the unit of Ra is mole per unit time per unit volume. So if we multiply it by volume, then this volume term will be cancelled out, and we will have mole of A reacted per unit time. So this will give disappearance of A with respect to time. Mole of A disappear per unit time. Second is accumulation of A. If Na is number of mole of A, then dna by dt will give uh, rate of change of mole A per unit time. So rate of accumulation of A will be equal to dna by dt, and this Na is equal to Na0 into 1 minus xa. So if you replace Na by Na01 minus xa, then you will get this equation, and after the differentiation finally you will get minus Na0 dxa by dt, because the differentiation of 1 equal to 0, and the second term is Na0 xa. So Na0 is taking out because this is constant, the initial number of mole of A present in the reactor, so that is constant, so that we can take out from the differential equation. So finally rate of accumulation will be equal to minus Na0 dxa by dt. Now if we put this rate of disappearance and rate of accumulation in this material balance equation, then finally we will get this equation. Now if we want to calculate total amount of time required for a particular conversion, then we have to integrate that equation. So separate the value or rearrange that equation. In left hand side you can take dt terms, and in right hand side you can take dxa terms finally, and integrate, then finally you will get this t equal to na0 integration 0 to xa dxa by minus ra into v. Now if density of fluid remains constant, then this Na0 divided by V, mole per unit volume, is concentration. So this T will be equal to Ca0 integration dxa by Ra, and in that case the limit is from 0 to xa. It means there is no product at the start of the reaction. But if you have uh, if you write this equation in terms of concentration, then if initial concentration is Ca0 and final concentration is Ca, then integration limit will be Ca0 to Ca and dCa by Ra. This Ca0 into Xa will give you Ca. This is for epsilon equal to 0. But on the other hand, for all reaction in which volume of reactant mixture changes, in that case this T, because when volume of the system change, then we have some value of epsilon, and then we have equation for Ca that we have derived in our previous slide. So for variable density, this is final equation for calculating time required for a particular conversion. This is a graphical representation of above equations. Means this equation is for constant density process, this equation for variable density systems, and if we graphically represent these equations, so this is graphical representation for general case and for constant density system. This is rate versus conversion graph, and this one is rate versus concentration graph. So this is end of today class. If you have any doubt, you can write in the comment box. Thank you.